Well, seems like we're going back to the roots with the next Assassin's Creed game. Yes, we made an April Fool's trailer for Assassin's Creed Rift, but it was based on a real rumor, as you might know, starting with Bloomberg, followed by Eurogamer, and later Tom Henderson shared this as well, who also recently said that a Rainbow Six mobile game would be announced, which, as you might have seen, it turned out to be true. So high chance that this is happening, and we got now even more reasons to believe that this rumor is true thanks to Andy Reloads, who shared Valhalla game files data mined by Pedder, revealing more about Rift. And a link to their video will of course be in the video description. Huge finds. So my big takeaway is really that this game seems to be going back to the roots. After Dawn of Ragnarok, it really goes as far as we've ever been from the original, with the ability to turn into a raven or teleport to enemies from far away. Seems like this Basim game is going to be way more grounded. The mythical Valhalla content, which I personally don't mind, I think it's actually pretty cool, doesn't seem to be over yet though, and might even lead into Assassin's Creed Rift. So we got a ton to go over. Of course, if you like the Assassin's Creed content here on the channel, would be awesome if you could leave a like and subscribe for everything on Rift, or whatever they will end up calling it. Because as you might know, Rift is the code name for this project, and Ubisoft is also using this in the files of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because as Jason Schreier on Bloomberg noted, the game, codenamed Rift, was originally planned as an expansion for 2020's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but morphed into a full game late last year. And that, I think, explains why Pedder has found files referring to ACR, so Assassin's Creed Rift, Baghdad, which the setting of the game, more on that in a moment, TST, test likely, and then social blending, hinting at a social stealth being back, but hopefully more crucial and advanced compared to Valhalla. We play a younger Basim, as the game takes place before Assassin's Creed Valhalla in 872, so also before Basim meets Sigurd and Eivor, and we of course see Basim fight by our side in the Valhalla main game, but since he will be younger in Rift, there's a high chance that we might want to ignore direct combat more, making hopefully stealth options more crucial. In the Assassin's Creed Rebellion mobile game, we find a bio of Basim thanks to Improved Gaming on YouTube, where they note that he joined the Hidden Ones at a younger age and trained to be a master assassin, which would of course be perfect and really cool to experience in this game. Now in the Valhalla game files we also see Parkour Gym, which could be where we train as Basim and maybe get instructions from his mentor Rayan. We only know this mentor from 2 letters he sent to Hytem, and that we as Eivor can read in the Assassin Bureau in our settlement. Maybe you know or remember these, so one can be found early on in the game and seems to be from before their journey to Northern Europe, talking about how Hytem should accept Basim's invitation, but also that Basim has achieved great things in his time with our Brotherhood, and we expect he will achieve many more in the years to come, so high chance we will get to see what those great things are in Rift. But yeah, as you might know, at the end of Valhalla you find a new letter from Rayan about Basim's betrayal, noting that they're only faintly surprised his adherence to our creed had lately seemed secondary to a personal mania that has dogged him for many years. They hope that sending him north would make sure that he could focus his attention on the Brotherhood again, but the opposite of course happened, and this must be a reference to Loki. On the Assassin's Creed wiki we find that after Basim became a master assassin, Loki's consciousness became manifesting in him, causing him to suffer from episodes of mania before Loki's consciousness was fully reborn in Basim. So okay, it seems to be grounded in terms of gameplay, but still expect some hallucinating episodes throughout the title as we see Basim slowly get taken over by Loki. But yeah, going back to the Parkour Gym file, you would hope that this hints at an improved parkour system, right, compared to Valhalla. Valhalla will totally be the foundation of this game, as it was first a Valhalla DLC, but seeing a lot of big improvements in important stealth and OG Assassin's Creed areas would of course be great. And I would not be surprised if this is why we suddenly saw big updates for the stealth in Valhalla. In the most recent update we had a list of fixes, including for the whistle, which finally works properly now. And we can now also finally use environmental traps and remain in stealth. Sure, handy for this more than 1 year old game, but this will also be super handy for Rift, which might be the main reason they made these improvements in the first place, because they could use it for the next game too. In the files we now also find them testing the detection even more, and I'm really hope they can deliver on a more stealth focused game after having not many sneak options in Valhalla. The world is of course really important for stealth as well, and in the files we find level design, Baghdad, prototyping. This totally seems to be at least one of the locations we can go to, the round city of Baghdad, which started construction on July 30th, 762. And this was by the way noted by AZ Landmarks on Twitter, and way more information in that Twitter thread. I will leave a link to that also in the video description. And as you might know, during the A Bloody Welcome main quest in Valhalla, Basim mentions that when he was young, he spent many hours a day in the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, also known as the Great Mosque at the center of the round city. But even more interesting is the Great Mosque of Samarra, which is also a city in Iraq around the 120 kilometers north of Baghdad. It was built between 849 and 851, but in Valhalla, Basim notes that his father made this masterpiece and that another man took credit while his father was exiled and died in poverty. So in history it's noted that Al-Mutawakkil, and I hope I pronounced that right, was the mind behind this mosque. But he was assassinated in 861, right? I can totally see Basim be the person behind this to avenge his father, which could totally be a cool mission in Rift. Like, even with the limited information we have, there are already many things that could happen in this game. Rebellion also notes that Basim became a father, but this was cut short when his son was taken from him by a close friend. So does this mean that he was an actual father and that it was not just a memory of Loki? Because at the campfire, when Basim speaks to Eivor about his son being taken from him by someone he trusted, a friend, a mentor, this could totally be Loki speaking instead. So it will be fascinating to see how this all turns out. Your theories are of course more than welcome in the comments down below. And yes, I do think that the potential fourth Mythical Valhalla DLC, which seems to be also about Loki as an antagonist, might lead into Rift. Because at the end of Dawn of Ragnarok, which by the way not a spoiler of the story of that DLC by the way, but when you return to the Hadda shelter, you find Hyrrokin talking about how Loki escaped the cell in which you left him rot, unbound Fenrir, and awoken Jormungandr, which could all hint at future Valhalla content. And Andy also teased more leaks for this potential expansion, so we will have to keep an eye on his channel for that, and I will of course share my thoughts on it as well. But with a Ubisoft Forward event likely in the next month or two, I'm curious what the rollout for the Assassin's Creed content will be. Because it would be weird to have an E3 style event without Rift there, right? So will they then announce the 4th DLC before it or at the same time? It's kind of getting weird, especially if the DLC is $40 again, which I hope they don't do, because that was a mistake for Dawn of Ragnarok. So yeah, when we know more, I'll be the first to tell you here. Subscribe to miss nothing. A like on the video would of course really help me out, and check out my previous video by clicking on the screen on the overall state of the Valhalla Year 2 and how Rift could actually impact the support by decreasing it by a few months, since that of course changed from a Valhalla DLC to a full game. For now though, I will speak to you in the next one. Goodbye.